This is my favorite draft pick for every NFL team. Welcome, football fans. In this video, I'm giving you my favorite pick for your favorite NFL team in the 2025 NFL Draft. That's right, we're talking based on the needs of your team, the value of the pick, and my personal evaluation of the player, which pick did I love the most? Let's get to it. Hop in the comments and let me know which pick was your favorite from your favorite team. Let's begin with the Arizona Cardinals. We're going in alphabetical order, as we typically do here on the Bottom Line View. Will Johnson is my favorite pick. Round 2, 15th in the second round. Will Johnson was, in my opinion, the best cornerback in the draft class. And the Cardinals needed a corner more than any team in football, because last year, their corner position was graded as the absolute worst in the NFL, at least at the perimeter cornerback position. This now allows Jonathan Gannon a chess piece to match up with the best receivers in football. At his best, when healthy, Will Johnson is a perfect zone prospect. He has elite zone coverage feel, instincts, IQ, size, length, and that is rarely found in the second round. He's a playmaker who also had 3 of his 9 career interceptions returned for touchdowns. This is the corner that could change the Cardinals. Love that pick. For the Atlanta Falcons, Billy Bowman Jr., round 4, 16th in that 4th round. Billy Bowman intercepted 11 passes at Oklahoma in his career. I love his tenacity. I love his ability to be fluid and change directions and explode out of breaks. I think that dimension of his skill set will make him a very good slot corner in the NFL, but he also has the center field skills and feel to be a guy to play free safety. So they doubled up at the safety position, which I admire about Atlanta in this draft. They doubled up at edge as well. But I actually think that one of their later picks, Billy Bowman in the 4th round, was the best value. I love his instincts. I love his change of direction. I love his overall versatility in the secondary. And I think he'll find a home with the Falcons. For the Baltimore Ravens, Mike Green, the 27th pick in the second round, was arguably the best value in the entire draft, guys. He led the FBS with 17 sacks in 2024. He's a former linebacker, which also allows him to have depth and the fluidity to actually drop into coverage. He has that similarity to current awesome edge rusher in Baltimore, Kyle Van Noy, all-time Patriot legend. Kyle Van Noy, by the way. Shout out to Kyle Van Noy. But Mike Green has pass rushing potential that could set up the Ravens long-term with a guy that could put up 10-plus double-digit sack seasons year after year after year. And they have not had that type of guy for a long time. I mean, ever since the days of really Terrell Suggs on a consistent basis. Elvis Dumervil stands out as well, but it's been a minute since Baltimore has dominated from a pass rushing perspective. Green's first step, his bend, his pass rushing variety, his quickness, his closing speed, those are all things that I think will actually boost the Ravens towards their goal of a Super Bowl berth. So Mike Green, my obvious favorite pick from Baltimore this year. For the Buffalo Bills, my favorite pick is Maxwell Hairston, the corner, round 1, 30th overall. Now, I love Maxwell in this selection because of the type of player that he is and how that could change the Bills and their strategy and their coverage against some of their main contenders. We're talking about Zay Flowers and the Ravens and his shiftiness and quickness, and that's going to be difficult for the Bills to cover traditionally because they have longer, slower zone corners. But with Hairston, you're talking about a guy that's the quickest, the fastest guy in the draft at the corner position. You're talking about Xavier Worthy, who they did have issues covering in the AFC Championship last year, right? Those are the Chiefs. Those are the Ravens, the two primary teams. Not only that, but then you're talking about, okay, Ladd McConkey with the Chargers, quick, route runner type. So there's a lot of these type of guys. I mean, nobody can cover Jamar Chase, so I won't even bring him up. But Maxwell Hairston had the fastest 40-yard dash, 4.28 in the entire draft, regardless of position at the combine. He also had a 1.5 second 10-yard split, which was unbelievable. He closes in a flash, and he jumps routes extremely well. He just has great feel, and then his anticipation for when to jump a pass, kind of like Tre'Davious White, right? And maybe Tre'Davious White was even signed to tutor a kid like this because he has that rare skill where he sees the ball, he gets the ball, he jumps it, and he had a lot of production intercepting passes. I think he also has that speed, that closing speed, that ability to make up with his speed, even if he gets beat because he's so quick and so fast, that in man coverage, I think he can also be very, very effective. So, yeah, I love this selection for the Buffalo Bills here. I think it changes the entire way that Buffalo can defend the teams that they play in the playoffs. T-Mac for the Carolina Panthers is my favorite pick, not only because of the prospect, but really because of what it allowed the Carolina Panthers to do in the draft. Right, so they pick T-Mac at pick number 8, which not a lot of people expected, by the way. It was not heavily mocked at all, right? It was an underdog selection. In round 2 and round 3, and for really the rest of the draft, that kind of allowed them to set the tone and do what they wanted to do on defense and add some pass rushers, multiple in the mid-rounds, instead of addressing it with the first pick. And then leaving wide receiver for later in the draft, right? So with T-Mac, you have a guy that can play the X receiver role, the Mike Evans, DK Metcalf, Canales role within his offense. Somebody with big hands, big frame, right? Great contested catch ability, smooth, I think quicker than people realize in his horizontal movements to separate and run routes, and just a guy that can body opposing corners, and Bryce Young can rely on in big situations. So T-Mac becomes the number 1 receiver for Bryce Young in a pivotal year for the Panthers. I love this pick. Luther Burden to the Chicago Bears. The Bears picked Luther Burden round 2, pick 7 in the second round. I love this pick because it's another statement for Caleb Williams. It's another weapon for Caleb Williams to be special, right? To improve. Ben Johnson getting a guy like Burden with his ability to create something out of nothing, 12.8 yards per carry in 2024, with outstanding ability to stop, start, and be elusive in the open field. He's a slot receiver for now that you're going to have to hand the ball, throw some screens, some quick outlets, but then eventually you get him in a room with DJ Moore. You allow him to run some more routes. Couple years down the road, maybe he could become a real number 1 receiver with some explosive ability after the catch and also vertically down the field. So I love how he mixes in with the rest of the wide receiver room and the tight end room of the Chicago Bears and helps Caleb Williams. Dylan Fairchild, round 3, pick 17 in round 3, was my favorite pick for the Bengals. I love that they were able to secure some long-term guard protection for Joe Burrow. He started 24 games at left guard at Georgia. He's a mauler. He brings some toughness. He brings some physicality. He brings a mentality, right, as a mauler. and he has effort and an ability as a pass blocker. I think that's a little bit better than his run blocking, which I still think needs some work. But hey, it's the Bengals. They're not going to be running the ball too much, so I'd prefer that you could pass block rather than run block. But this is a guy that was one of the most athletic linemen in the entire draft. I like this pick a lot for the Bengals. Dillon Gabriel, my boy, to the Cleveland Brownies. Now, I did not expect this from the Browns, but I was elated to see it because I actually thought, as soon as I saw it, I thought, you know what? He has a chance to be good there. Because when I made my Dillon Gabriel video, I was really concerned about his landing spot. I never know where a player's going to go when I make a video like that. So with Dillon Gabriel going to Stefanski, I love how he's going to be protected behind that offensive line. I love how Stefanski values accuracy and quick decision making, and he uses his play action game. I feel like Dillon Gabriel is going to be really good in terms of the movement and things like that. And I think he's going to be able to get some Tua-ness out of him too, in terms of like the RPOs, and add that to the passing game as well, if he so chooses. And Gabriel shows enough in the training camp portions and the potentially down the road to start in the NFL. I actually think he will end up being a starter for the Browns at some point in time. This is a guy that broke the FBS records for starts and total touchdowns. I believe he was second of all time in passing yards as well. So Gabriel is quick, decisive, accurate, moves better than people think, has a stronger arm than people think. Just because he's small, don't count him out. They picked him above Shedeur for a reason, because he's better. Next, Donovan Ezeraku to the Dallas Cowboys. This one made me smile as soon as I saw it. The 12th pick in the second round. This is a prototypical Dallas Cowboys edge over the past, I would say, like decade or so. This is a guy that's quick, feisty, and can bend, dip, and get to the quarterback. He had, in my opinion, the best skill in order to set up a tackle, hit a move, and effectively understand how to counter, how to use his hands, and how to manipulate a tackle to get to the quarterback. He had 16 and a half sacks in 2024. I thought he was easily a first-round prospect. He's a little undersized, which is perhaps why he didn't go in the first round. But for Dallas, they don't really care about that. Micah Parsons is one of their edges, right? He's not exactly humongous. But Ezeraku does have the long arms to make up for his lack of size. And that makes him really tough because he has a great leverage advantage on top of that arm length advantage that allows him to be really hard to lock onto as a pass rusher. He has a very fast agility ability, right? He had the quickest 3-cone in the entire draft, as well as short shuttle time. So, I mean, he's just very laterally sound, and he's a polished pass rusher, man. And I feel like, yeah, he was actually a little bit better against the run than I thought other people thought. Just his ability to slip and slither through blockers because of his quickness, I thought was evident. So Donovan Ezeraku could start for the Cowboys, and I wouldn't be surprised, but I think in that rotation, along with Dante Fowler and others, he'll be very effective early on. RJ Harvey for the Denver Broncos. I really love this pick. I was a big RJ Harvey fan. Some people apparently were surprised that he went as high as he did, 28th pick in the second round. I don't know, man. I don't know what tape they were watching, but RJ Harvey had arguably the best vision in the entire class. I thought his quickness, elusiveness, and his ability to bounce plays to create big plays was special, right? And he showcased a 40-yard dash of 4.4 seconds, which showcases on tape. He runs away from defenses. And, I mean, you look at last year, Denver couldn't run the ball. 41 players had more rushing yards than Denver's rushing leader, Javonte Williams. So RJ Harvey will become their starter, and he'll become an explosive element that they did not have last year in the backfield. Tate Ratledge of the Detroit Lions, 25th pick in the second round, was my favorite pick for the Lions. This is a prototypical bite your kneecaps type player. He started 37 games at right guard at a big time school like Georgia. He was probably the most athletic offensive lineman, or one of them, in the entire draft, at least at the guard position. He's quick. He's got great range. He excels in zone blocking schemes because of it. He has big time power at the point of impact in the running game. So I feel like immediately you're going to see this guy just dominate in the run game just because of his quickness, his speed, and his power ability, because he creates so much generosity into his power because of his speed. I feel like that is also going to be evident once he develops as a pass blocker with his recovery agility and things like that. So they need to develop him a little bit in that area, but I feel like in terms of replacing Kevin Zeitler, the Lions couldn't have done much better in this draft. I thought they nailed this pick. Next, Matthew Golden for the Green Bay Packers. This is just the pick that potentially takes the Packers over the top, and that's what I've been searching for and waiting for. I've stressed that in so many different videos this offseason. It's actually getting to the point of a broken record. I think Packers fans have realized that if they watch this channel, right? Round 1, pick 23. I thought that Golden could have went as high as number 12 to Dallas, so to see him go at 23 felt like fair value. On top of that, he led the FBS with 23 catches of 20-plus yards last season. He also had the fastest 40-yard dash of any offensive player, not just wide receivers, but any offensive player at the combine. Golden is an effective route runner who wins with his release. He wins with his explosiveness and his speed at the top of the route. And I feel like his ability to be utilized in Matt LaFleur's system, where you're creating that speed through motion usage and stacks and bunches, I think Golden is going to be dangerous with that speed in this offense. Ursery was my favorite selection for the Houston Texans, 16th pick in the second round. I thought he could have been a first-round pick, and I especially liked how Nick Caserio was able to play the board and trade back and still get his man in Ursery here. He had a really good 10-yard split, 1.75 seconds, which was outstanding, 38 starts at left tackle. He explodes off the ball on tape, showcases a great amount of anchor and power in his pass protection, which is what stood out to me. And he combines that with that explosion, right? So he has a high-end, I think, potential for a second-round tackle. You don't usually typically see that, but I think he has long-term left tackle security to take over for Laramie Tunsil in Houston. Tyler Warren was my favorite pick by the Indianapolis Colts, pick 14 in the first round. Warren is a dog. That's simply put what he is. He finished his Penn State career as the program leader in touchdowns with 25, receptions with 153, receiving yards with 1,839, and receiving touchdowns, 19 among all tight ends. He knows how to attack zone. He knows how to break tackles. He knows how to create contested catches and manipulate his frame and get his hands on the football. And I also felt like the Colts desperately needed a tight end more than really any team in football. They had the fewest amount of receptions at the tight end position in the NFL in 2024. So now they have a versatile weapon that they can put in the backfield, that they can have in line, in the slot, that they can have him throw the ball down the field. I mean, this guy can do so many different things, and what he's definitely going to do is break some tackles. Next, Travis Hunter of the Jacksonville Jags was easily my favorite pick for them because the rest of them felt irrelevant based on the trade. Round 1, pick 2. As a receiver, I think Hunter will have a home, and I think it's because he can beat guys off the line of scrimmage with his quickness, and at the top of his routes, he's able to separate. He's outstanding after the catch with his body movement. He just has this rare body movement and manipulation that also translates to how he attacks the football and adjusts to the football with the ball in the air. He picked off 7 passes as well the last 2 seasons at cornerback, and I could see him playing slot corner, perimeter corner, or safety, depending on where they want to put him. But regardless, this is a rare two-way athlete, two-way player that could actually get it done at the NFL level. I see him mostly finding success at wide receiver, though. Josh Simmons, first-round pick number 32, if I'm not mistaken, because I do believe they did trade back one spot with the Philadelphia Eagles. And Josh Simmons, he was maybe going to be the number 1 tackle taken above Will Campbell in this class, if not for injuries. So for a team as good as the Chiefs to be able to get that kind of talent at where they were picking coming off a Super Bowl loss, that is the type of pick that could catapult you from Super Bowl loser to Super Bowl winner and secure the long-term future left tackle for Patrick Mahomes. Simmons started 13 games at right tackle at San Diego State in 2022, and then he played 19 games at left tackle at Ohio State the past 2 seasons. Now, we'll see how he recovers, but I really like his movement on tape. He's more of a finesse, I would say, pass blocker with really good technique and hand usage than he is a power mauler. And I think that will translate to the next level. Technique is hard to not translate. Trey Harris, the Los Angeles Chargers, round 2, pick 23. Trey Harris was my favorite pick because I was really, really hoping the Chargers would pick a wide receiver that has X ability, that can get down the field, that can run, and has size. And Trey Harris has those two traits, 6'2", 205. Former quarterback for Malik Neighbors in high school. This guy can run for a former quarterback. He can get downfield and create explosives. I also felt like his outbreaking routes were pretty good in terms of separation skill. And I feel like he's a perfect complement to their receiver room currently with Ladd McConkey. He also just moves very smooth, creates yards after catch well, doesn't go down easy. I think Trey Harris has the toughness and the smoothness to be a Charger wide receiver. Terrence Ferguson was my favorite pick for the Rams, their second-round pick with the 14th overall selection in that second round. Ferguson is Oregon's all-time leader among tight ends in receptions with 134, receiving touchdowns with 16. He also ran the fastest 40-yard dash among tight ends, 4.63. He's flying, and he tied for the quickest 10-yard split with 1.55. That is the type of athlete that Sean McVay can use, that he can scheme up, and he can add to his offense for Matthew Stafford that could potentially put them over the top. A long-term replacement for Tyler Higbee, an athlete that Sean McVay can get in the lab and scheme some things up for. Terrence Ferguson. Darian Porter was my favorite pick for the Raiders. I just love this kid's measurables. I love his upside. Round 3, pick 4 overall in round 3. 6'3", 195. He's a former wide receiver that moved to corner in just 2022. That was just a couple years ago. He didn't start at the corner position in college until this year, 2024. Someone similar was drafted by Pete Carroll. His name ended up being Richard Sherman, a Hall of Fame corner, one of the greatest of all time. Porter has rare upside. He had the third fastest 40-yard dash, regardless of position, at the combine, 4.3 at 6'3", 195. That is flying. He has outstanding arm length and recovery speed to develop into an elite press corner. You look at him, he's thick, he's wide, and he's long. He just has a great cornerback body. He reads the quarterback really well, and when the ball is in the air, because he was a former receiver, he has great ball skills. He also just has unique football intelligence and zone coverage awareness. I think this kid is going to be really good with some development in the NFL. Jonah, the big man for Miami, the 5th pick in the second round. Savanaya. I mess his name up. Somebody help me out, bro. We're going with Jonah. He lined up at right tackle, left tackle, and right guard in college. And his body and his frame are so wide and so thick that his face doesn't even fit into the damn picture on the screen, okay? That is this guy. And I've been searching. I've been waiting. I've been hoping that the Miami Dolphins, we're going to pick an offensive lineman. We're going to pick some physicality and some power to help out their running game because they have desperately been lacking it. Well, Jonah has it. He's humongous, as you can see. He was tied for the second fastest 10-yard split, which means he's powerful, big, and quick. And he also ran an under 5.0 40-yard dash. So those are really impressive physical traits and physical numbers for a guy that is 324 pounds. With the length and the frame of this man, I think he could be a big-time run blocker in the NFL. That would be huge for Miami. Donovan Jackson was one of my favorites that I watched on the offensive line in the draft. The Vikings snatched him with the 24th pick overall. Jackson just showcased versatility in his games at Ohio State. He played 30 at left guard and 9 at left tackle after Simmons went down. And I just felt like every time he got a hold on somebody, they were not going anywhere. He is so strong. His grip strength, his hands are just very strong. He's very wide, and I just thought he was incredibly hard to shake. He just felt like he was bigger, wider than everybody he took on at college, and at the next level, I think that's going to translate. He'll also be, I think, a really good, versatile, smooth insert for the Miami offensive line. Minnesota, my bad. Kyle Williams was my favorite selection for the New England Patriots. Round 3, pick 5 in round 3. Finally! Finally! The New England Patriots might have picked a receiver that I actually like. And that's why I think he could actually be good. Because typically when the Patriots pick a receiver, N'Keal Harry, Jalen Polk, I have never been a fan. But now they pick a guy that I thought was a top 5 receiver in the class. An effective route runner, explosive. Can run, can fly, can play outside, has one of the best release packages in the draft. He's just going to bring a dimension to the Patriots that they have not had. That's speed, that's vertical, that's big plays, right? He's a big play threat, 17.1 yards per catch in 2024. And after the catch, he has great stop-start ability, which allows him to manipulate and elude defenders in the open field. So I think this kid could be very good. I mean, Steve Smith said he's literally Steve Smith. So what else do I have to say there? Tyler Shough was my favorite pick by the Saints. I respect the attitude. I respect the New Orleans Saints for going out of their way to select Shough with the 8th pick in the second round, because I thought he was the second best quarterback in the draft. He started actually at Oregon backing up for Justin Herbert. That's how old he is. He has high school photos with Brock Purdy. That's how old he is. But that being said, he is 6'5", 225. He ran a 4.6 at the combine. He's got size and he's got a hint of speed, which means he's a good athlete. He can throw the ball. He can throw the ball from in the pocket or off platform and extend plays, okay? I also thought he did a good job of eluding and avoiding sacks and taking negative plays. And I thought for the most part, he had a great deep ball throwing into the bucket downfield, and tight windows were no problem. I thought he was a very solid player. And some people even think if he was younger, he would have been a first-round pick. Abdul Carter is, of course, my favorite Giants pick. I'm not going to lie to you guys and say something other than Abdul Carter. Round 1, pick 3. He was probably the best player in the draft, in my opinion. Outstanding pass rusher with elite initial quickness. He can get offensive tackles just in a spin cycle. His ability to just win with his first step, win with his quickness, his bend to dip under blocks. It does kind of look like Micah Parsons or Von Miller, the way that he loops around people. He has incredible balance. He has versatility to play linebacker. He has exceptional closing speed to the quarterback and the running back. And he's just disruptor. As a run defender, just disrupts. You know, he led the nation with 23.5 tackles for loss in 2024. And some people think he can't stop the run. Armand Membu was my favorite pick for the Jets, an absolute monster with the 7th pick in the draft. Membu tested well at the combine. He ran a 4.91 second 40-yard dash at 332 pounds. That is freakish. He moves exceptionally well for his size. He's explosive and drives people into the dirt in the run game. Needs a little bit of technique refinement, but this guy has all the tools to be an absolute behemoth of a stud. For the Philadelphia Eagles, Andrew Makuba, their second-round selection with the last pick in the second round, was my favorite pick. I loved both of their first 2 selections, but Makuba is my type of DB. He is physical. He laid one of the biggest hits I saw in college football last year. He has versatility to play free safety as a center fielder like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson or a nickel position like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. He reads the quarterback well. He has range, and he can make big hits when needed. He's feisty. He's not scared of anything. And he tied for the SEC lead in interceptions with 5 in 2024. Caleb Johnson is my favorite selection for the Steelers. Caleb Johnson, round 3, pick 19. Johnson's downhill style is perfect for Pittsburgh's outside zone scheme. he has a great ability with his feet to find the hole, stop, and then be able to accelerate through that hole. He is bulky, and he can run through defenders in open space, down the field. If he breaks a run, this is the type of rough style that Pittsburgh is known for. Difficult to tackle, difficult to bring down in the open space, and he has great instincts in that zone scheme and great feel to be able to stick his foot in the ground and make a play. So he's not a great receiver, but I think as a first and second down back, he can replace Najee and be an even more explosive option for the Pittsburgh Steelers. CJ West for the San Francisco 49ers is my favorite selection. Round 4, pick 11. West is one of those D tackles that is very sturdy against the run, but has a lot of upside for the pass game because of how he is built. He is built low to the ground, and his punch is extremely powerful. He constantly gets inside guards and centers and is able to push run blockers into the backfield with that stout lower body and that ability to just get underneath them because he's a little bit smaller in terms of his height. He's a bit shorter. I think he's like 6 foot, 6'1", but he's quick enough to get and slip through some gaps and make some plays as well. So he's got that quickness, he's got that power, he's going to be able to push the pocket extremely well for San Francisco, which is going to help their edge pass rushers as well. And then on top of that, his tape shows excellent technique, power, and tenacity, which makes him just a absolute terror for offensive lines. Jalen Milroe for the Seattle Seahawks, round 3, pick 28. I said if I wasn't picking Cam Ward in this class, that the guy that I would take my chance on is Jalen Milroe. I love Dylan Gabriel. I like Tyler Shuck. But in terms of upside, if I'm drafting a quarterback to be a superstar in the NFL, it's Jalen Milroe. So I love what Seattle did here to potentially be the long-term quarterback, or who knows, a project that doesn't result in anything. But I like the chance because Jalen Milroe is one of the best runners of the football I've ever seen on tape at the quarterback position. I think he rivals Lamar Jackson. I think he's better than Justin Fields. I think he is explosive, and that's a problem for defenses that they have to account for. 20 touchdowns and 726 yards rushing in 2024. Through the air, Milroe can drive the football with good arm strength. I think he has pretty good feel within the pocket, especially against zone coverage, and he has enough arm strength to drive the ball in the middle of the field and to the edges of the sidelines, okay? He does have a very good deep ball. He does need to get better at reading the field, but overall, Milroe's speed, his rushing ability, and his traits as a passer give him a ton of upside to be special in the NFL. Jacob Parrish was my favorite selection by Tampa Bay, and the reason for that in round 3, pick 20, is because the Bucs have been neglecting the slot corner position like this player for a long time. They have been neglecting the horizontally quick, smaller corner that a lot of teams have feasted on them because they have not had this specific player, right? They have constantly been plugging players in that have rather played safety or have played perimeter corner that don't belong in the slot at this position, and that's given them a lot of issues. Parrish has the skill set to thrive at slot corner because he has an outstanding 10-yard split, 1.51. He had the 4th fastest 40, 4.35, right? And his speed and change of direction is really what allows him to mirror receivers and turn and run and stop and start with the quickest and the fastest in the game. So yeah, he played a little bit outside at his time in college, but he could also play in the slot at Kansas State. So I could see him translating to Tampa's future nickel cornerback. Cam Ward is my favorite pick by the Titans. Round 1, pick 1. Cam Ward could be a superstar. He could be the next Steve McNair in Tennessee. He'll bring great creativity and playmaking to the Titans. He can coach. He can really, I think, be a coach on the field at his best. I think he's got that type of personality. I think he's got that type of aura. I think he's got that Joe Burrow. I think he's got that upper echelon swagger, okay? So that ability to get, be a leader of men, I think is a big deal. On top of that, He's got the velocity to make throws at every area and every level, especially in the short RPO game. And his arm angles are spectacular. He's an RPO wizard. And on top of that, he's got that velocity to hit those middle of the field, downfield throws as well. Okay, he can also make some splash plays with his platform throws, his off angle throws, and then also, outside of structure plays. He elevated every program he was at because of his personality, because of his drive, because of his work ethic, and also because of his skill. So Cam Ward, I think, is the real deal. And for the Washington Commanders, my favorite pick was Trey Amos, round 2, pick 29. He has excellent length and enough speed to turn and run with receivers in man coverage, which Washington loves to play cover 1, and you want to be able to press those receivers at the line. I think he has it. He showed a lot in terms of his zone ability, especially in terms of his ability to recognize route combinations, pass off receivers, and track the ball extremely well. So Amos has a nice balanced skill set of size, enough speed, and intelligence to be a starting corner on the outside for a good Commanders football team. There it is, guys. My favorite pick by every NFL team in the 2025 NFL Draft. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to spike the like button. Don't be a jabroni and subscribe. We'll see you later. Deuces.